Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Not only is this the launch of the first Hull and East Yorkshire strategy, but it's also the first time that we've been able to use this equipment in our offices in Hull. So I hope there aren't going to be too many technical difficulties with today. For those of you that don't know me, my name is James Newman, and I'm the chair of the Halep. There are going to be plenty of people that I don't know yet, but hopefully over a period of time, now that restrictions are lifting, I'm hopeful that I should be able to get out a little bit more and meet many people. Before we start, just to say we will be recording the various presentations, the whole of the presentations, and I hope everybody is okay with that. If not, then turn your screen off. What we plan to do is to have an edited version of everything that goes on over the next hour or so, which we will then put onto the website. So if you know of anybody that's missed this, then they will be able to see it on the website and going forward. And if everybody could just hold back on any interventions or questions till we get to the end, that would help, because that will then help the editing process that we're going to go through. So I'm just going to make a few opening remarks about the strategy, and then I'm going to pass on to others to talk about it in a bit more detail. So as I said, this is the first strategy for the New Hay region, which is effectively north of the Humber estuary. It replaces any strategies still in place from the old Humber LEP. We have tried in producing this strategy to bring out the best and the relevant parts of both local authority strategies that have been either refreshed or published relatively recently. But it is very focused on economic activity and obviously on growth. Our ambition is that this strategy will herald a sort of new beginning for the north of the estuary as an individual unit and an important unit within Yorkshire and the wider north, rather than straggling the Humber. There are some Humber bits in our strategy, as you would expect. Steve Parnaby will be talking a bit later about some of those. But this is essentially around how do we develop and grow the north of the estuary, which covers a significant area and covers both coastal, urban and rural activities. So there's a huge diverse mix of economies within the region. We've consulted a huge amount, not just within the board, but also within public sector bodies, the whole of the private sector, and there's been a tremendous response to the strategy. We're very grateful if you are on this call and you did take the time to respond. Thank you all very much for that. There were some hugely detailed and constructive responses, and we have tried to incorporate most of those into strategy. So I think the strategy has a mandate. It's been widely consulted. In fact, one of the local authorities south of the estuary also responded in a constructive way. So that was good as well, and that will clearly help the Humber activity we will need to do. So lots of small companies, lots of big companies all responded, and a number of individuals. We've clearly collected during this process a fair amount of evidence as to what's going on in the region post-Brexit, post-COVID, and it's probably the best and most detailed evidence that we've had for many, many years. And hopefully we're going to be able to use that, and our local authority partners and private sector partners will be able to use that evidence when we are planning for the strategy, planning the detailed implementation of the strategy, and also talking importantly to government as well. So what we hope will happen is that I think most people are aware that the Levelling Up White Paper suggested that the Hull and East Yorkshire area was going to be in the first wave of devolution deals. So we're hoping that this strategy that we've produced will form the basis of the discussions with government. Government doesn't give money away lightly. They like to see good structures in place, but they also like to see strategy in place to be able to deliver the funding as best and most efficiently as they can. So we have a strategy. This is what this has been all about, and hopefully it will be used and probably adopted, I hope, in virtually completely as part of the negotiations with government. We have worked very hard. We think it identifies all the issues in the region, and there are plenty of those. The priorities that we need to have. You can't do everything when trying to manage an economy. It's very clear you've got to have some priorities and have a go at those first. We think that we've identified a number of good solutions that we work with, and we've identified a lot of good partners in the region. One thing I've found, being relatively new to the region in business terms, is that there is a huge passion for the region and the area, and there's a huge amount of knowledge. So we hope to be able to utilise that with our partners. Somebody needs to be on mute, thank you. So what we hope then to do is to follow this up with a detailed implementation plan. It's no use having a strategy with all the words unless you've got an implementation and delivery plan. And that's the next thing that we'll be working on. I think we've already started on that, and you'd expect to see that in any private sector organisation, and the LEP is a private sector led organisation. So Andy Hewitt, who is obviously on the call, is the main author of this strategy, and he's going to give a more detailed presentation. But and then there will be time for questions. But before Andy starts, he has identified on one of his slides the role of the LEP in all of this, alongside other partners. So the role of the LEP is part strategic, to try and set that strategic high-level direction, part leadership in terms of convening partners together, bringing all interested organisations, including governments, to the table, and part delivery with partners. That's our role. We sit in the middle between residents and the local authorities and the private sector, trying to convene all of those. And I suppose our additional promotion is to promote the strategy and to promote the region outside of the region, and that's something that we're very keen to continue to do. So, and we will continue to be the interface at operational and policy level with government, alongside our local authority partners, who are obviously also heavily involved in that. So the LEP's role is not to replace anybody, it's to act as a catalyst, a troubleshooter, and an advocate. And I think it's important everybody understands that, because sometimes people ask too much of LEPs. We can do a certain amount with the funding that we have, but there are plenty of people in the region who can deliver on your behalf. So I'm going to introduce Andy. Andy Hewitt is, I can't remember your title, Andy, but you're the second senior person we've got in the LEP, and you're responsible for all the business activity and support. And you have produced this strategy with help from Teresa and various others within the LEP team. I think we're going to see a short film first, are we? And then if you could then make your presentation on the details, some of the detail of the strategy, that would be really helpful. So over to you, Andy. You need to press the button for the film.
Thank you, James.
The economy of the Hull and East Yorkshire region is currently at a dynamic point of great challenge and equally great opportunity. The Hay region has great strengths. It has a range of nationally significant sectors that have high value growth potential. It has a great opportunity to enhance the region's world-leading reputation as a cluster for clean growth activity, and has a rapidly growing research and innovation capability in areas such as renewable energy, rail manufacture, digital, and agri-tech. It has a thriving and diverse small business sector. It has high-quality skills providers. And it offers an excellent quality of life. The Hull and East Yorkshire Local Enterprise Partnership plays a pivotal role in reflecting and delivering on the aspirations of the ambitious and loyal to the region business community, and strives to work together with a range of partners, both public and private, to find new ways to maximise the growth and community well-being for Hull and East Yorkshire. Its economic growth and workforce well-being strategy sets out an exciting vision for the region and communicates the key areas of joint activity required to achieve this.
Good afternoon. My name is Andrew Hewitt, Senior Policy and Business Growth Manager with Halep. And I'm going to spend the next few minutes just talking you through the content of the strategy and giving you the key points which are contained within. Formally established in April 2021, the new Hull and East Yorkshire Local Enterprise Partnership presents a unique opportunity to articulate the economic potential of the area, which must not be wasted. Therefore, this bold and ambitious strategy for the region sets out Hull and East Yorkshire's offer to UK PLC and beyond. It draws upon a robust evidence base, including local economic strategies, publicly available data sources, and our own commissioned work. The economy of the Halep region is currently at a dynamic point of great challenge and equally great opportunity. Long-term structural weaknesses in the economy, as outlined in the Levelling Up white paper, have been exacerbated by COVID-19, which has accounted for 10% loss of GVA in 2020, and the impact of UK leaving the EU on the Halep area with its maritime and trading heritage is yet to be fully quantified. Despite this, positive opportunities exist within the Hay region, including absolute and relative sector specialisms that have high growth potential, a great ability to enhance the region's world-leading reputation as a cluster for clean growth activity, and a rapidly growing research and innovation capability in areas such as renewable energy, rail manufacture and agri-tech. This strategy clearly and distinctly sets out a collective vision for this area, founded on our unrivalled assets, trading opportunities, sector specialisms and strengths, the area's strong maritime history and our future potential. The strategy recognises the dynamic context of climate change, particularly given Hull and East Yorkshire's heightened vulnerability to coastal and pluvial flooding, and the opportunities that our leadership in the decarbonisation agenda presents in terms of innovation, employment, business development and growth. The area has a potential to make a substantial contribution to clean growth agenda and reducing climate change. The strategy focuses on the importance of delivering productive, inclusive and resilient economy which achieves growth that is not determined on long-term sustainability. Collaboration and partnership will be key to delivery of this strategy, and its success will be dependent on all partners and stakeholders contributing to the ambition, activities and timelines outlined in the strategy. So why produce the Halep Economic Growth and Workforce Wellbeing Strategy? Well, there's three key reasons for doing so. The first one is to provide a strong vision and set of priorities which the Halep can work with partners to drive forward the economy of the Halep area and improve the equity of the area also. Secondly, to provide linkages at a regional level between local strategies and economic development activity. And finally, to define the key objectives which the Halep will deliver over the coming 4 to 5 years. As outlined by the Chair in his opening remarks, the Halep has a key role to play in delivering economic growth via this strategy. It has 7 areas where it sees its role: to lead, to influence, to represent the needs and aspirations of the business community, to support businesses, to deliver projects and programmes, partner with all organisations and promote the region and its economic benefits. Before we move on to talk about the priorities contained within the strategy, it's important to acknowledge the economic context in which this strategy was written, telling the story of our Halep region in economic terms. Overall, the Halep region has an annual GVA of £13 billion and encompasses over 24,000 businesses, supporting circa 261,000 jobs. The region's economy represents 10.5% of Yorkshire and Humber region's GVA and 3.6% of the output for the north of England. 87.5% of businesses in the Halep area are classified as micro businesses, with a further 12.1% being classified as SMEs. This is a higher proportion than the national average. The region is part of one of the UK's most significant industrial clusters and has a number of key industrial sectors which have great potential to drive productivity, innovation and generate higher skilled employment. These include low carbon technologies, ports and logistics, manufacturing and engineering, construction, digital and creative industries, tourism and the visitor economy, Medicare, health and social care, and agri-tech and food. These sectors are important, not just locally, but will make a significant contribution to the UK economy as it seeks to level up and build back better following COVID-19 and the UK's exit from the EU. Companies in these sectors include significant employers headquartered in the area and global companies in sectors such as chemicals and healthcare. Many have invested heavily in the region in recent years. The region also supports a wide range of innovative agricultural, agri-tech and food processing businesses, which are closely linked to the global food system. Agricultural operations range across all sizes, with almost 1/3 of farmers being over 100 hectares. Fisheries operations are small, but collectively provide one of the largest shellfish catches in the UK. The tourism and cultural sectors are similarly diverse, with a vital importance to the region. Hull City of Culture activities added over £22 million in GVA to the local economy, building on an existing tourism value of £300 million. The digital sector is rapidly growing in this area from a base of small companies, exploiting the area's digital capability with a strong cluster in Hull. These sectors provide employment across our urban, rural and coastal areas, in companies and organisations of all sizes. Although this spatial and sectoral diversity is a benefit in terms of resilience, it can also hamper business-to-business collaboration and knowledge transfer. Despite some excellent examples such as the local food and tourism networks, existing business networks do not fully cover the wider geography, and access to specialist skills training can be problematic for smaller and rural businesses. The area is a key gateway both to the UK and outward to export markets, with the ports of Hull and Goole playing an important role nationally. However, the transport system in the region is currently not well integrated and suffers from capacity issues, pinch points and issues of some poor reliability of public transport. This continues to impede both freight and passenger movements in the region and needs to be overcome to further realise economic growth for the Hull and East Riding area. Transport is also dependent on high carbon propulsion, which needs to be addressed if the region is to meet its clean growth targets. The talent supply in the region has a number of challenges. The Halep region has a smaller proportion of people with degree level equivalent qualifications than England as a whole, and the area has historically suffered from poor levels of graduate retention. This region displays very high levels of workforce self-containment, with 87.9% of residents in employment living both and working in the area. This, in combination with the reducing working age population, is constraining the supply of suitably qualified, skilled workforce. The retention of existing talent and the attraction of new talent to the region is vital. Allied to this, the Halep region faces structural challenges of persistently low skill, low wage economy in some areas, which is limiting the economic prosperity of our communities. Over a third, 36%, of lower super output areas in the Hull and East Yorkshire area are within the 20% most deprived nationally, and overall qualification levels throughout our area remain below the national average. The region faces particularly high patterns of deprivation and benefits dependency in parts of the city of Hull, in Goole and along the coastline. In Hull, the average healthy life expectancy of its residents is significantly below the current state pension age. The strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats for the Halep region economy, as outlined within our evidence base, are outlined in this slide here. So having collected the evidence, what does that mean in terms of what we need to do next, which is the crux of why we're producing this strategy? The next few slides I'll talk you through exactly what we're advocating within the strategy to address these issues, starting with the strategic vision which is outlined here. The Halep Economic Growth and Workforce Wellbeing Strategy outlines 4 priority areas for activity for joint work to be able to address the issues which have been outlined earlier, and some key objectives which go alongside in terms of how we practically deal with these priorities. So the priorities that we outline in the strategy are: Priority 1, we're aiming to create a productive and innovative economy. Priority 2, we're looking to create a clean growth economy. Priority 3, we're looking to create a skilled and inclusive economy. And Priority 4, we're looking to create an attractive, competitive and resilient locations within our economy. I'll now start talking about these in a little more detail. The main aim of Priority 1, productive and innovative economy, is to stimulate business growth, increase productivity and employment by developing the ideal conditions in the region for businesses to start up, innovate, invest and trade. The development of a productive and innovative economy is the keystone of all Halep activities. Raising productivity and optimising the opportunities for key growth sectors to build on competitive advantages is central to the delivery of the region's shared aspirations. Achievement of this will enable a transition to a high-value, low-carbon economy and level up the opportunity and living standards for those who live and work in the area through boosting financial and intangible capital. Innovation is a key contributor as a catalyst to drive transformational change within the businesses in the region. The region has a rapidly growing innovation asset base, and this will need to be fully optimised by the region's businesses to develop new products, processes and services, and finding new and established markets for these innovations. Innovation within business can also have a substantial impact on workforce wellbeing and productivity. The region has a long history due to its location in the Humber estuary as a trading area. The region and its businesses are ready to support and implement new approaches such as Humber Freeport to drive the national agenda and boost exports to contribute towards global Britain and support the growth of local sectors which benefit from trade through our ports. The Humber Freeport will also play a key role in decarbonisation and regeneration, supporting the region's clean growth and workforce wellbeing agendas. Hull and East Yorkshire is an attractive location for inward investment and large-scale indigenous growth, with a strong track record of major investments made in the recent past in growth sectors and supply chains which will boost the area's productivity. Our sectoral strengths and locational advantages must be more widely understood, and the LEP can play a significant role in enabling this to happen. The economy of the region is characterised by its high prevalence of SMEs, micro and small businesses within the business base. Promotion of enterprise and support and removal of barriers for this scale of business provides a great opportunity to create good quality jobs, drive new products and service development, facilitate access to new markets and help tackle the productivity and health inequalities in the region. Some excellent work has already taken place here with the Humber Growth Hub and local authority partners, and this can be further expanded to ensure micro business continue to add to the success and the diversity of the business makeup in the region. The business base of the Halep area is diverse. However, the geographical and economic assets of the region provide locational advantages which drive certain types of businesses to be situated in the Hull and East Yorkshire area and sector specialisms to occur as a result. The evidence base developed to support the strategy suggests our economy has 8 key sectors which can be separated into 3 typologies and require specific types of activity to support and to grow them. It is these 8 sectors which the Halep will support during the period of this strategy. Each of these sectors has unique opportunities for growth which are considered in greater detail in the strategy document. However, some of the key highlights are as such: opportunities presented by Humber Freeport to grow the area's ports and logistics sectors, supply chain innovation opportunities presented by the rail manufacturing sector at Goole, the Halep is a cradle for agri-tech innovation in the UK, the growth of modular building and modern methods of construction in the construction sector, innovation and new product development in the healthcare technologies sector, a rich cultural and tourism offer ready to build on increased interest in domestic travel, a fast-growing digital sector taking advantage of the excellent digital infrastructure in urban areas around the LEP region, and finally, clean growth and low carbon technology, which will be covered in the next priority within the strategy we will look at. The aim of Priority 2, a net zero and clean growth economy, is to maximise opportunities to drive economic growth in green industries while meeting ambitious targets to be a net zero carbon industrial cluster by 2040 and achieve significantly lower carbon outputs by 2030. Creating a net zero clean growth economy for the Halep region is one of the most significant challenges and provides the greatest opportunity for the economy of the region. The UK is committed to the transition to clean sources of energy, with private sector investment and government policy accelerating the pace of change. The wider Humber area has already played a leading role in this clean energy transition and is well placed to build on this reputation as a globally significant hub. The Hull and East Yorkshire area stand ready as part of this strategy to play a full role in this work in areas such as optimising clean energy generation, driving industrial decarbonisation, promoting decarbonisation and resource efficiency within businesses of all size, including SMEs, and developing conditions in the Halep to achieve net zero and clean growth economy. The strategy lays down a range of objectives to help achieve this. The third priority within the Halep's economic growth and workforce wellbeing strategy is an area which businesses are telling us which is of vital importance to them at this point in time. Priority 3 is to produce a skilled, healthy and inclusive economy for the Halep region. The aim behind this is to lead the transformation of the Halep area's skills profile, to deliver a highly skilled, healthy and productive workforce, reducing inequality and increasing life chances for all our communities. Good people with the right skills are the heart of any successful organisation. For the Halep region to maximise productivity and economic growth, the organisations within it require a workforce that's fully engaged, adequately skilled and qualified, healthy, and one that's serviced by a fully functioning labour market. Equally important as meeting the labour market demands of the local economy is ensuring that all Hay residents, young and old, are aware of the employment opportunities offered by these employers. Doing so will help to ensure local labour markets meet demands, but also by sharing labour market intelligence through good careers education, information, advice and guidance in both young people and adults. This will help to raise the aspirations of our communities and encourage them to fulfil their potential. The Halep is committed to ensuring that all residents in the region and members of the workforce can benefit from and contribute to the growth and prosperity of the area. In order to do this, the skills levels and health of the area's workforce must be optimised to drive social mobility and to ensure the productivity goals within this strategy are realised. This includes addressing the higher level skills needs, facilitating upskilling, reskilling, attracting and retaining skilled workforce in the region. In achieving its objectives, Halep is also committed to a greater economic and social inclusion. Access to opportunities for all residents, including those furthest from the labour market, is an important aspect to this strategy. A core ambition of the Halep is that all residents can secure good quality, meaningful, well-paid employment, regardless of their social economic background or whether they have any barriers preventing them from doing so. The Halep also recognises the link between healthy communities and a healthy workforce. A healthy workforce is crucial to business performance, including the reduction of lost working days due to illness, with impacts on productivity. Addressing long-term health barriers to work will increase the region's available labour pool, currently challenged by health inequalities and an ageing workforce, and provide the necessary talent pipeline for the region's businesses. Ensuring the Hay area maximises access to external funding opportunities made available through programmes such as UK Shared Prosperity Fund, levelling up funds and other funding streams will be essential to delivering this agenda and enabling equality of access for all. The strategy's fourth priority is to develop attractive, competitive and resilient locations within the Halep region. The aim of this priority is to enhance the region's infrastructure and natural assets to maximise the contribution to the Halep economy and create competitive locations to invest, live and to visit. To complement approaches to economic growth and economic inclusion included in this strategy, there are a range of measures required to ensure the region can further develop into an area which is recognised for its high quality capital and an opportunity for growth. The Halep region is a large and varied area possessing locational assets both built and natural, which support great quality of life, positive visitor experience and competitive locations for Indigenous and inward investors to do business. These assets include infrastructure assets, transport, housing, employment sites, digital strengths, attractive and productive settlements. However, the Halep recognises the need to invest in these to maximise productivity in the context of rapid global technological, environmental and economic change. Many of the areas of activity coincide with key sectoral strengths. For example, enhancing transport and infrastructure and services gives us a great opportunity to use the innovation which is happening in Goole at the Siemens Mobility factory in their supply chain to drive this change within our area. Similarly, strong infrastructure assets in digital present opportunities for the digital sector. Flood resilience, which as outlined at the start is a key issue for this area, also is an opportunity in terms of how we use the expertise which is developed within this area to be able to drive that change required in the area. Quality employment sites is something which we've traditionally had in this area, and there's only be enhanced by the activities such as Freeport. Attractive housing offer, again very high quality offer within the East Riding area, and Hull is developing a high quality offer also, but there is opportunities there in terms of modern methods of construction within them sectors to drive that opportunities in this area. Maximising the use of natural capital is something which is very keen to do. We've got a track record of doing that in the Humber, and Halep and its partners across the Humber agree that the natural capital is of high importance, which means it needs to be managed and invested in like any other form of capital. Just as the Halep economy requires a shared vision and plan to be developed, as does the natural capital in this area. Areas like the heritage coast and such like not only provide opportunities for tourists to come to the area, but other areas of natural capital can actually help us with our zero carbon agenda as well. We need to ensure that the cultural offer and the visitor economy infrastructure within the region is well developed, and that is in the areas where demand for that type of activity is undertaken. And also we need to be able to sing about our opportunities in this area. We need to be able to tell a clear story to everybody outside of the Halep region exactly what our opportunities are, both from a tourism point of view, but then also in terms of a quality of life offer which we can offer to people who are looking to bring their workforce to this area. And Halep stand ready to assist all partners in doing that. Finally, I would just like to outline the outcomes which we're looking to achieve from this strategy and to talk a little bit about delivering the strategy going forward. Up until 2026, we've outlined a range of outcomes that we would like to achieve through delivery of this strategy. These include a 10.8% increase on GVA, bringing us back to a level that was seen pre-COVID, creating 6,500 new jobs in the Halep region, increasing the total number of residents with qualifications at level 4 or higher by 14,500, bringing the Halep region into line with current Yorkshire and Humber averages, supporting 9,000 businesses via Growth Hub activity, commencing 3 flagship infrastructure projects in partnership with others, expanding the Hay Careers Hub to include all 50 eligible schools and providers, and finally make significant progress towards meeting targets to be a net zero industrial cluster by 2040, with significantly lower carbon emissions in the region by 2030. So how are we going to go around delivering this strategy? The strategy has been developed in consultation with a wide range of stakeholders, including partner organisations, government agencies, private sector and voluntary and community sector representative bodies. We received 34 individual and collective responses to the strategy consultation process, which represents over 500 Halep residents, employers and regional stakeholders making their views known. This has resulted in a regional level set of priorities and objectives which communicate the needs of the private sector in the Halep region. The proposals align with local authorities' partners' economic and related strategies and provide the regional grounding to other local and national strategies and investment plans in the areas such as skills, wellbeing, infrastructure, innovation and place. Halep will play a proactive and integral role with those partners, demonstrating strong leadership and governance to ensure the activity which is undertaken in the region contributes fully to the delivery of the economic growth and workforce wellbeing. The Halep supports the local authorities' aspirations for a devolution deal in the area, bringing greater local powers over economic policy and delivery, as outlined in the Levelling Up White Paper. And as such, Halep will continue to play a proactive role in driving local policy agenda and connecting the voice of local business community to decision makers until a devolution deal is signed. Some areas outlined within these outcomes are directly under the control of the LEP in terms of the growth hub and such. In other areas, we look forward to working with a wide range of partners to be able to achieve the outcomes outlined on this page. Overall, we know that everybody we work with shares the aspiration of improving the economic fortunes of the area, including the workforce wellbeing and reducing inequalities in the area. As such, we look forward to working with you all over the coming years to deliver this strategy. Thank you for your time. One final point from me is that the full Halep Economic Growth and Workforce Wellbeing Strategy can be found on the Halep website at the address outlined here. Thank you for your time. I'd now like to pass across to Stephen Parnaby, OBE, Deputy Chair of Halep, to give an idea of how this strategy sits within the wider strategic context which the Halep currently finds itself in. Thank you.
Right, I can be fairly brief really, because I think things are always changing and things always will change, and we've got to adapt to change. And I think that's the starting point really for me, is that we're not a year old yet in the Halep, and we've already had big hurdles to overcome in establishing a new organisation, and particularly towards the latter end of the pandemic, which has not been easy for anyone. So we've been waiting for the Levelling Up White Paper, which hopefully clarified some of the issues to us. In fairness to it, that has clarified some issues, but it's also raised other questions as well. And I'm sure that people will have those questions to ask at the end of this session. But as I say, the important thing for us, we are the Hay region. We're joined by Pat Doody, Chair of the Greater Lincolnshire LEP, and we do work together on pan-Humber issues. And I think that's important that we continue to do that, but we are nevertheless two separate organisations. The really important issues to me are pan-Humber issues are clearly Freeport, which is great news for the economy of the area and the emerging new tax sites. That's got to be good, and I'm sure that will come to fruition. The final business case has gone in, and I'm sure that will be really successful, and we will work across the Humber on Freeport. Energy estuary, but energy as well as decarbonisation, those are the other two major issues that affect the Humber generally. Andy's mentioned some others, but there's no point in going through the list. Those are the major ones. I think it's worth mentioning the Levelling Up paper. You'll have read something about Opportunity Humber, and that's the government's idea to have a voice of large international companies giving a voice across the Humber. It'll be chaired by the Chief Executive of Reckitt Bannister, and will involve some of the larger companies throughout the Humber. But that doesn't exclude the 4 local authorities will be involved. Both LEPs will be involved in Opportunity Humber as well, as indeed will the Humber Leadership Board. So it retains that economic factor around the Humber. I suppose as well it's worth mentioning in the Hull and East Yorkshire area, Hull and East Riding area, that including the Levelling Up paper was an absolute commitment for a devolution deal. That will be, if you like, at the lowest entry level, known as a county deal. Nobody's really actually quite sure what a county deal is yet, but probably one of the easiest ways to describe it is a combined authority without a directly elected mayor. It doesn't preclude that merging into one in the future, but that's the starting point. So there will be a devolved authority for Hull and East Riding, bringing together economic development activities, transport activities, housing activities within that combined authority, and possibly more. We'll wait and see what the negotiations unfold when the local authorities lead on that. What is important from our own perspective, the Halep, we will be part of that new deal. So there's always been some doubt as to whether for LEP's future, we still await, in fairness, the future of LEPs. There's a paper coming out on those, but I think ours is pretty secure now, in the sense that we've got the devolution deal agreed, and the Halep will be part of that, as I think it was described as we will fold into the combined authority, so we'll merge within that. So there will be the voice of the private sector within that combined authority. Having said that, the LEP is not just about the private sector. The clue's in the title. It is a partnership. It's a partnership of public and private sector and other stakeholders as well. So hopefully that just gives a quick overview as to where we're at with levelling up papers, etc. We're still waiting for a lot more information before we can move forward. But I think actually we have got exciting times here. These things are never 100% once you start, but I think the strategy as well underlines all that, and it'll work with the strategy of both Hull City Council and East Riding of Yorkshire Council, and we'll develop that strategy together so that that becomes part of the combined authority when that happens. And I have to say as well, often these things take a long time. In this case, because it's relatively simple, I hope anyway, the county deal will be done sooner rather than later, and the indications are it will be done in this calendar year. So that's got to be good news, and we can move forward. So hopefully that just gives you an update as to where we're at. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Steve, very much. Just to say that the bulk of the strategy that Andy has managed to present to you was done before the levelling up paper, but I'm glad to say that an awful lot of the key government pillars in the levelling up white paper we had already included in our strategy. So all the wellbeing, health and wellbeing activity, which are big planks of the levelling up white paper, because that's what the government see as levelling up individuals as well as levelling up the economy, are already in our strategy, so we didn't have to change it a great deal. And I would reiterate, Andy, thank you very much for persevering through all those IT issues. I'm sure we've all experienced that over the last few years. So I'm happy that we take some questions. If anybody has questions, if you could and have the capability to use the hand up, then various trusted assistants that I've got around me will be able to spot the hands. So happy to take questions. I'm not saying I will answer them all, but it would be good certainly to have some questions from you, from what you've heard. Daff.
Thank you, James, and thank you very much for the presentation. I think it's a good report and it's a good strategy, and it's very welcome to see in there the recognition of the role that Freeport can play, but also the role that the whole ports and logistics sector in our part of the world can play in underpinning economic growth in the area. That's really good. It was also really good to see in there recognition of trying to improve our rail freight connectivity. That's something that, as a port operator, we would echo very strongly. I guess my question that related to that is, given that we've not had the best of track records in getting other people to acknowledge the need for better transport connectivity to this part of the world, what's the strategy for turning the plan, the idea, into reality?
Okay, well, it's making sure that, I'll kick off on that. It's making sure that clearly both local authorities and ourselves are on the same page, which I think we probably are already on that. It may be utilising the opportunity Humber concept, which is being put forward by government. We're not obviously sure how that is going to work yet, but if there are going to be some people who have this region at heart, and they have the voice of government better than perhaps we might at this moment in time, then we should take that opportunity to do that, and just keep pushing and pushing and pushing from a private sector perspective in terms of what it means to your business and other businesses within the free ports. Just keep pushing ahead, and working hard within Transport for the North to try to make sure our priorities get heard over and above the mayoral priorities of Manchester, Leeds, Sheffield and Liverpool, which currently they are not. Steve.
Yeah, thanks. I just want to say, recognition of the work that the local authorities have done on this, or tried to achieve on this, both Hull City and East Riding, and I don't think it's any of their fault that we haven't been successful. On Friday, tomorrow, we've got the Halep infrastructure board, and we intend having a discussion around this very issue, and particularly on freight DAF, which I think is important. And I don't want to undermine work that's done by anybody else. We haven't got the resources to be able to do that or anything else. But I think if we can work with people like yourselves, other freight users, the local authorities as well, because what it all boils down to, and I know we can sort of say, well, it's wrong that we haven't got anything. It's building that economic case. If you haven't got the economic case, you're not going to be successful. So it will be about working with Opportunity Humber, whoever that is, the recognition of free ports coming on board. Because if we haven't got the capability to move things on transport, well, the free ports are not going to be successful. So I don't think the door is shut yet. I think there is much more to be done, but we really need to start now in building that economic case, certainly on the North Bank, and certainly for Freeport across the Humber as well.
Jonathan.
Yes, thanks very much. Just very briefly to say that Darren Hale and I had a sort of small dinner at the Guildhall a couple of weeks ago with Patrick McLaughlin, Lord McLaughlin, who's the new chair of Transport for the North, and Martin Tugwell, the sort of chief officer for Transport for the North. It was a very positive meeting. It was Lord McLaughlin's first civic event visiting an authority, but there were only 9 of us around the table, and both of them were very supportive of us seeing ourselves as having lost out recently in terms, but the strong message was a good joint case, certainly for between Hull and the East Riding, actually majoring on the freight issue rather than just transport for people, a stronger case on the freight side. But certainly Lord McLaughlin was very positive and keen to fight our case as long as that strong business case was put together based around freight. So let's hope we can all move forward on that basis. Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, fine. Well, the full strategy plus the recording of today, Andy, I'm sure you'll edit out the various false starts for the version of this meeting that goes on the website. So that will all go on the website as soon as we can do. I think it's fair to say, and I hope you all agree, that there's been a huge amount of effort and intellect gone into created the strategy, which is the first time the region has probably had a chance to shine on the national stage. We've got all the assets and all the need for government to actually listen. Now we know that they can't tackle the net zero issue without investing in the Humber. So whilst Jonathan said there is some way to go politically relating to county deal, the private sector is there behind the local authorities and supporting them in whatever deal they come across, and we hope that we will have some significant input into the economic deal that is negotiated, which hopefully might include some freight funding and in funding around with investment activity and so on. So I hope that at the end of the day, this strategy will just give the total region a sense of direction as far as the north of the estuary is concerned, and we will start now trying to build a delivery plan to start executing some of that strategy, and obviously talking to government about how we might fund where we've got some funding gaps to that. So from my perspective, really, Andy, thanks to you, Teresa, and all the LEP team, because I know from a standing start we've put together this strategy, and I think it's a worthy document, so I commend it to you. I hope that you will send it round. Those of you who've been on the call, you will pass either this or the full recording round to as many contacts as possible. It is important that the general public and the business community understand where the region is going and what our priorities are, so that they can start to think about how they may support that. So last from me is thanks very much. Thanks to Steve as well for giving us a view on some of the Humber activity, which is important. So thank you all for attending, and we will be in touch, I'm sure, with probably further events to try and, as we develop strategies in particular areas that Andy's talked about, we will be convening some meetings around those particular areas to take them forward.